Hello, my name is Tanya Williams and welcome to the Tax Watchers. I am pleased to represent the Central Solano Citizens Taxpayers Group, a group dedicated to educating the community on tax issues. In this series, I hope to introduce you to all aspects of taxation that affect you and your families every day. Today, my guests are John and Janet from the Central Solano Citizens Taxpayers Group, and we will be discussing measures G and H on the upcoming June ballot. So welcome, John and Janet. Thank you, and I am very sure our audience is wondering about the Central Solano Citizens Taxpayers Group, who they are and what they do. So first to you, John, I know you've been the president for several years, so could you tell us why you got interested, how did the group begin, and tell us a little bit about the group.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we were chartered in 1995. Most of our members were affiliated with another taxpayer association, but we decided that we needed to get more involved in local issues and have the ability to influence them. In other words, vote for people, things like that. So we broke off, and over the years, we've opposed measures by the City of Fairfield, Solano County, the Fairfield-Suisun Unified School District, and the Association of Bay Area Governments. Our objectives are to reduce the benefit or the burden of taxes and to advocate for efficient government. So our job, as we see it, is to simply give voters information and let them make the decisions. And so far, they've agreed with us most of the time.
Okay, well, thank you, John. Well, Janet, we know that right now you're the current president of the Taxpayers Group. Can you tell us a little bit why you got started in it?
A couple of years ago, some neighbors of mine invited me to come to one of their meetings, and I went. And I didn't expect that I would actually like it. I expected it to be boring and about income taxes and things like that. And I found that it was much different than I expected. It's actually more about the community and how our community works with taxes and what we can do to better serve the community in educating them about taxes, and also, as John said, putting our message out there about candidates and things like that. So it's actually a very interesting community organization.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you. So we came here today to speak about some measures that are about to come up on our June ballot, and so let's begin with Measure H. So would either one of you like to chime in and tell me a little bit about this Measure H?
Well, I'll jump in. Measure H was proposed by the Solano Transportation Authority. That's a agency that's set up by the state, and they manage all of the transportation affairs for the county. Okay, now, Solano Transportation Authority does not have taxing authority on its own, so the county has to put it on the ballot, which they've done. And it's the money will go into the county if it's passed, and goes into the county general fund, and there's supposed to be an agreement of disposition of the funds. We're still looking into that right now, but that's the gist of it.
Okay, all right. So can we go a little further? So what would be your objections, if any, to Measure H?
One of the main reasons that we object to Measure H is because it is what's called a general tax. The STA has put this type of a street repair measure on the ballot 4 times before this. Each of those 4 times was what is called a special tax, which requires a 2/3 majority of the voters to approve it. Had they voted for it by that 2/3 majority, then the money collected through the tax is specifically earmarked for exactly what they're talking about, the repair and fixing of all the different roads. This time, it's a general tax, which is a 50% plus 1 threshold. And the money is not earmarked for anything. It goes into, as John said, the general fund, and it can be used for any purpose, regardless of what we're being told now. It goes into the general fund, and it can be used for anything at any time. And here in our county, we have a high pension fund obligation, and there are other things besides road taxes and road improvements that are going to be most likely paid for instead of.
Yeah.
So how should the city or the counties what should we have done instead of proposing Measure H?
Rather than having a county-wide measure that addresses the county and then also each city, we believe it would have been better for each city and then separately the county to have their own measure up for election. So for instance, the city of Vallejo would have their own city vote on whether they want their roads fixed by a 2/3 majority, make it a special tax so that they know the money that's collected goes towards that fund and towards those improvements. Same thing with Benicia, Vacaville, whatever. And then should the county want to do one separately, they could also do theirs. That way, the citizens that are being most affected and are going to be paying most of the money make that decision rather than having everybody do it and then the money supposedly divvied up.
Ah, interesting. All right. So, John, moving on, I know that the roads are in disrepair, okay? So what should have happened?
Well, we know that everybody can tell the sad condition of some of the roads there. Let me just give you an example. The city of Fairfield estimates that it would take about $13 million every year just to keep the roads in decent condition. Okay. Now, you know, in 2012, they passed Measure P, which was a tax, and one of the purposes was supposed to be to take care of the roads. Well, before Measure P, the city was spending about $2 million a year, as opposed to a $13 million estimated cost. Okay. After Measure P passed, they added about another $2 million. That's still terribly short of what's needed. Okay. And I suspect that most cities in the county are in the same boat. So it's just a matter of not doing what's necessary.
Okay, so going a little further, we already know that there are supposed to be taxes that are designated to roads. What's happening with those?
Well, we have a slide here. It shows that the total amount coming from federal and state excise taxes for gasoline and diesel, whatever, is almost 70 cents a gallon. Okay? Plus, the state has, of the state's 6.5% sales tax, 1/2 cent is supposed to be going to roads also. Okay, so this money is allocated to the cities and the county, and how they dispose of it, you know, it goes into their general funds, and all we can do is trust them to spend it properly. In certain cases, they're not doing that.
Okay. Well, we got to move a little further because there's actually two measures we're talking about. So, Janet, if you could tell us about what is Measure G about?
Measure G is an advisory measure, and what it does is nothing. What it says it does is it tells the community, the voters, what the Board of Supervisors plans on spending their money on. Election Codes 9603, though, and the impartial analysis by County Council agrees that there's no force and effect whatsoever about an advisory measure. It means nothing. So right now the STA has a report and recommendations and an actual plan as to how the money collected is going to be divvied up based on the different cities in the county, and it's a plan you can actually go to the website and read. However, there's nothing that makes the Board of Supervisors of the county do any of that. It's still going into the general fund. It's still their money to do whatever they want with, and the advisory measure has absolutely no force and effect whatsoever.
That's interesting, because if I'm correct, I thought Measure G proposed that there would be an oversight committee. What would they be doing then?
A typical oversight committee comes under Proposition 39, which deals with school bond measures, and an oversight committee that it has specific requirements of the people that are on that committee, specific walks of life and specific areas of expertise that they would bring to the table. This is not a Proposition 39 oversight committee. This committee can be anybody breathing. So they can be appointed by their friends. They can be people that have any opinion on how the money should be spent or what's going to happen. So again, no teeth, no nothing. It's just part of the shtick to get it sold.
Wow, wow. Okay, so John, going back to you, how do you think the campaign is going thus far?
If you recall, a couple of years ago, the Solano Transportation Authority hired a consultant to give him a feel for how a tax like this might fly. And true to form, he came back and he said that it was a good chance that a measure like this would pass. Okay? But on the other hand, the city of Fairfield, looking to renew Measure P, the road tax or their tax, ran an online poll, and the results were 88% opposed. 88% of the people that responded opposed it. And what's happened, in our mind anyway, is that people are losing confidence in government. And if that sentiment continues through to the elections, you're going to see most of the tax measures go down.
So Janet, tell us about your organization's campaign.
Well, right now we're up against over $100,000 of the STA's money, which is actually your taxpayers' money that they're using to promote their idea. And we've got about $1,100 or $1,200. What we're doing is we're putting on programs like this to educate people about what the measure actually does, what the two of them actually do. We are asking people that have knowledge about these measures to write letters to the newspapers. We'll be doing campaigns, signs, yard signs, and then bigger signs also for along the roadside so people can see those. So hopefully we'll be able to get the word out really well.
Okay, all righty. So last question. What on earth can we as taxpayers do? What can the taxpayers do to help you?
Well, come to our meetings, see what we're all about, learn more, donate to us so we can get more information out to more people. We'd love to see you at our meetings. We meet the second Friday of every month at noon at the Benicia Grill in Fairfield, the Fairfield Grill. And we'd love to see more people there and help us out. You can see what we actually do, and people that are donating money to us will see where their money actually physically and literally goes in helping us with campaigns like this.
Well, I see my time is running short. I want to thank both Janet and John for being my guests today. And to my audience out there, I hope you enjoyed this production of the Tax Watchers. The Central Solano Citizens Taxpayers Group meets at noon, as Janet has said, on the second Friday of every month at the Benicia Grill in Fairfield. I hope that you will consider coming to a meeting or check us out on our website at www.thetaxwatchers.org or follow us on Facebook at The Tax Watchers. Until the next time, I thank you and be determined to make it a great day.